Good morning. Welcome to First Year U. My name is Marilyn. I use she, her pronouns. I'm only 5'1". I thought I was taller years ago, but they told me no. And I'm wearing black with, I've decided they're like chalk drawings of animals and motifs somewhere on the black jersey dress today. Let us begin by acknowledging that we are gathered on the traditional territory of the Neoconska people. They were known sometimes by the name Osage. They're descendants of the people who were forcibly removed from this land, make up the Osage Nation. We acknowledge their contribution, their continued struggle for justice. The chalice lighting words this morning are by Florence Kaplow. In recognition of Labor Day, we light this flame to honor all work, including the work of our hands and our backs, in gratitude for all the laborers that support our world, and for all those who boldly continue the work of justice, equity, and peace. Our chalice lighter this morning in the sanctuary is Jesse. The opening words are "We Labor in Love" by Amanda Budas Kessler. This is a responsive reading, and your part will be in bold print on the screens. You can't tell, I'll stop reading and then you start. On Labor Day, we honor our work, physical and mental, paid and unpaid, joyous and heartbreaking.
Yes, difficulties and strive to make us rejoice.
Our work can build our society, provide for our material needs, and give our life meaning. Our work can damage our society and the planet, fail to sustain our material needs, and be meaningless. Our work can heal the world, help us understand who we are, and keep us safe. Our work can harm the world, demean us, and expose us to danger. Our work can fill our days with accomplishments and our lives with stories. Our work can dissatisfy and alienate us. We may not be able to find enough work or any work. This Labor Day, and all Labor Days to come. May our work and all work serve humanity and all living beings. Our song of the month of September is Come, Come, Whoever You Are. It's number 188 in the Gray Hymnal. The words are adapted from the Sufi mystic poet Rumi, and who lived from 1207 to 1273 in the Common Era. I invite you now to listen to either play it through once or not. And no, we know it, okay. I invite you to now rise in body or spirit to sing.
All right, so we're going to sing this all together once, and then we're going to sing it as a round. So when I point in your general direction, you start the round, and we'll see how long we can keep it going. Ready? Go. 1, 2.
Morning. It's time for all agents. I'm Bob Eccles. I use he, him pronouns. And I'm currently your first union board president. This month, we are exploring the practice of invitation. We're exploring the invitation to reconnect with church friends after a summer apart. So with that in mind, I want to share a wisdom tale called A Lamp in Every Corner. Long ago, there was a village in a mountain valley in Transylvania. The people of this village were a wonderful community who longed for a church of their own, a place they could gather together and be a community. So they decided to build a church on the hillside looking down upon the village. All the people of the village worked day and night to build themselves a church. The stonemasons cut great blocks of gray stone to form sturdy walls. The glazers made tiny glass panels and fitted them neatly into windows with leaded lines. The foresters sawed large beech trees into enormous beams for the ceiling, then covered the roof with close-fitting wooden shingles that wouldn't leak a drop of rain. The carpenters carved a pair of wide opening doors. A bell was brought from a faraway city and then hoisted by ropes to the top of the tower. The weavers wove fine cloths for the altar table, cloths embroidered with flowers and edged with lace. The smiths hammered black iron into tall lampstands and hammered thin bronze into shining oil lamps. When the building was done, the planters mixed bright colors and everyone in the village came to decorate the church. They painted flowers and trees and designs around the windows and the doors. And at the end of the day, when it was finished, when their church was finally done, all the people of the village stood back and admired it. "We will eat now," a village elder announced, "because everyone is hungry after a long day's work, and later tonight we will come back and pray." Everyone went down the hill to their homes and their suppers, all except one family. They brought their supper with them. They ate their supper sitting on the hillside and admiring the new church. After they had eaten, they went back inside, and one of the children said, "Oh, look, how pretty the church is. But we have not finished." "What do you mean?" the parents asked. "Well, there are lampstands, but there are no lamps. The church will be dark when the people come back." No, little one, don't worry. The light of the church comes from its people. You shall see." They rang the bell to call the people to worship and went back outside to wait. The sun had set behind the mountains and night was coming soon. Yet in the growing darkness, tiny points of light came from many directions and moved steadily up the hill. Each family is entrusted with a lamp and each family lights its own way here. "Where's our family light?" the child asked. "Right here." The many lights moved closely together, gathering into one moving stream, all headed the same way, growing larger and brighter all the time. As the families entered the church, they set their lamps high on the tall iron stand. Soon, the church was ablaze with flickering lights that grew in every corner as all of the people of the village gathered to pray and sing. When the service was over, each family carried their lamps home, with the flame lighting their way. The child turned to their parents and said, "So, the light of the church comes from its people, but also the people take their light from the church. And we have that light every day." "Yes, indeed," said the parent. "And even when we are not in church, even when the lamp is not lit, we carry the light of truth in our minds and the flame of love in our hearts to show us the right way to be. That light, the light from truth and love, will never go out. And always the light of truth and the flame of love from that Unitarian church on the hillside continue to grow and show them and us the way." This is a great story about how church communities like ours unite people and keep them connected. It reminds us that church is not just a place, but a space wherever and whenever we connect with each other and share our unique life. So, in the week and the days ahead, may all of us, kids and adults alike, joyfully bring unique lights together to create a greater light that renews us and the world.
Good morning. My name is Colin. I help with the Pastoral Care Circle. And once I find my spot in the script, I'll be sharing joys and concerns with you. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm wearing a blue t-shirt and khaki shorts, and I'm a balding guy in my 30s. Within the theme of invitation, we can discover both expansiveness and a return to challenges. We're invited to extend the love that is hospitality, both to strangers and ourselves. Adrienne Rich opined that change is not a threat to our lives, but an invitation to live. May we welcome these invitations as a pathway toward our truest selves. As a community, we share joys and concerns to keep connected. Slips of paper are available in the greeters table for those in the sanctuary to use for joys and concerns. During the week, you can send your joys and concerns by email to pastoralcare@springfielduu.org or by leaving a voicemail on the church phone 417-883-3922. If you're on Zoom, please use the chat box now for sharing your joys and concerns. All of these joys and concerns will be included in the members' email on Tuesday. We honor each joy or concern with a stone dropped in a shared bowl of water, representing the ripple effect in all our lives. This morning, the children will be dropping the stones for us, if they want to. And now, as we begin this time of sharing, know that though we are in multiple physical spaces, we are together in beloved community. To begin, we hold in love all of us, those present and those absent. We drop a stone for our church community. We honor the complex and heartbreaking struggles of our world. We drop a stone for all who are impacted. Jesse shares thoughts for Jay to have a better week at school. We drop a stone of concern. From Betty, a joy for helping Michael get a new cat from Eden Animal Haven. And we drop a stone of joy. Thank you. Betty also shares a concern for Kelly, a UU friend in Oklahoma, who's battling cancer and also losing his home 34 years. We drop a stone of concern. Check. Not seeing any there. Oh, Raymond shares a joy for the Labor Day words. We drop a stone of joy. I, Colin, would like to share a joy. We closed on our first home this weekend. We drop a stone of joy. Thank you. In closing, for those joys and concerns that remain unspoken, we drop a stone. May we hold each of these in our hearts and minds. May our community of love ease sorrow and boost celebration. While we are in multiple physical spaces, we still share space together here in Intentional Community. And now let us join together in 1 minute of shared silence, followed by Spirit of Life.
As Kayla Parker said, we know that our financial contributions to this congregation come from sacrifice and hard work. We are so grateful for this and commit together to ensure the funds we gather collectively do a greater good for ourselves and our world than they could have done alone. We will now receive an offering for the support of this religious community and its work in the world. We are invited to give generously and joyfully as you are willing and able. If electronic giving is your preferred method, or if you are on Zoom, virtual giving options are available via our website, springfielduu.org. The offertory is UU Blessing Song by Layla Ibrahim, performed by the choir.
It's a blessing I was born, and it matters what I do. What I know about God is a piece of the truth. Let the beauty of love be what I do, and I don't have to do it alone. No, I don't have to do it alone. It's a blessing I was born. It's a blessing you were born. And it matters what I do. And it matters what you do. What I know about God. What you know about God. It's a piece of the truth. And the beauty of love. And the beauty of love. Be what I do. Be what you do. And I don't have to do it alone. No, I don't have to do it alone. It's a blessing we were born. And it matters what we do. What we know about God is a piece of the truth. And the beauty of love be what we do. And we don't have to do it alone. No, we don't have to do it alone.
Good morning. I'm Reverend Michelle Scott Huffman. My pronouns are she, her. I am the minister here at First UU and sometimes the secondary AV person. So I am a middle-aged woman with salt and pepper spiky hair, wearing black pants and a black and white plaid shirt. And happy to be with you on this Labor Day weekend. In my ministerial life, there are two commitments that revolve around beloved American holidays They are that on the Sunday closest to the 4th of July, I will do everything in my power to push us away from independence and toward interdependence. And on the Sunday of Labor Day weekend, I will talk about labor and human dignity. These commitments are important to me because I think that two things we're a little too good at in this country are going it alone and exploiting others. I'm thankful for resources provided each year by organizations like International Worker Justice, Farm Worker Justice, Global Labor Justice, Jobs with Justice, and the International Labor Organization, as well as others that help to make the connection between being moral, ethical, and faithful people, and insisting that human dignity is upheld in all human labor. You'll notice that most of the organizations that I just mentioned have justice in their name. So what is the relationship between justice and dignity? I'm glad you asked. Because I spent a lot of time in that rabbit hole this week. Among the favorites were a 2023 book entitled Human Dignity and Social Justice by Argentinian philosophy professor Dr. Pablo Gilabert, whose current project is called Work, Well-Being, and Social Justice. To boil down hundreds of pages of brilliantly written theory into one woefully simple yet powerful phrase, Gilabert offers what he calls a systematic defense of the view that human dignity is the moral heart of justice. The idea that human dignity is the moral heart of justice seems to be intrinsically woven into many important documents, not just in the US, but globally. Dr. Michael Zuckert is a professor of political science at the University of Notre Dame. He contributed an article entitled Human Dignity and the Basis of Justice, Freedom, Rights, and the Self, to the fall 2007 issue of the Hedgehog Review, which sounds a little silly, but is a publication of the Institute for Advanced Studies in Culture. That issue was exclusively devoted to trying to bring some conceptual clarity to terms that are frequently used, but often without adequate reflection on their meaning. Zuckert's article began by saying the language of human dignity indelibly entered the world of practical politics in 1945 in the United Nations Charter, a document inspired by revulsion with the many affronts to humanity and human dignity experienced during World War II. Its preamble stated, "We, the people of the United Nations, determined to reaffirm faith in fundamental human rights and the dignity and worth of the human person." The link between human dignity and justice, or rather the claim that human dignity is the basis of justice, was explicitly made 3 years later in the preamble to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Whereas recognition of the inherent dignity and of the equal and inalienable rights of all members of the human family is the foundation of freedom, justice, and peace in the world. And though, as Zuckert says, the language of human dignity indelibly entered the world of practical politics in 1945, it was by no means a new conversation. Human dignity was a favorite topic of ancient Roman orator Cicero in the 1st century before the Common Era. That was a long time ago. As it also was for Immanuel Kant in the late 18th and early 19th centuries of the Common Era, and a host of philosophers and theologians in between. Much of that discourse has included a debate over whether the topic of human dignity is a theological one, a philosophical one, or an anthropological one. A question to which I think the answer is yes. And certainly from the viewpoint of a gathered community like ours that come at all of those things differently, but unite around a set of values out of which we intend to do life together. The question of human dignity is an important foundational question. As you might imagine, the essays in that 2007 publication of the Hedgehog Report didn't solve anything once and for all, but it did help the editorial board to hone in on another question. A later issue of the Hedgehog Review gets even closer to the heart of the matter for today's message, which is work and dignity. In that issue, editor Dr. Joseph Davis, research professor of sociology at the University of Virginia, writes, "Work is in the news and on people's minds. With high unemployment, stagnant wages, and downward mobility, public debate is focused on remedies to economic problems and preparing the workforce for challenges of the globalized economy. These macro level concerns, while necessary, tend to obscure the question of work itself, its organization, its meaning, its effect on workers themselves. Jobs, business practices, education, career trajectories, opportunity, all are reduced to a metric of economic reward, and often the economic reward of someone other than the worker. But work is not just an economic matter," he writes. "Beyond survival, a range of other human values and ideals are at stake. The qualities of meaningful work include some scope for freedom and self-direction, the chance to use our capacities of judgment, a connection to others and to purposes larger than ourselves, and the sense of accomplishment that comes from doing something well for its own sake." And when we start to talk about work as fulfillment, connection, and meaning making, we do start to get theological. The theological term we might use to describe work that is more than utilitarian is vocation, from the Latin root vocare, which means to call. In the words of Frederick Buechner, vocation is the place where our deep gladness meets the world's deep need. This begs the question, how are we structuring both education and work in a way that offers opportunity to find that sweet spot? Dr. Allison Pugh begins to get at this in her essay in that Work and Dignity publication. She's also a professor of sociology at the University of Virginia, and her research focuses on the cultural intertwining of economic and intimate life. She writes, "To broaden our concept of dignity, I turn to Nobel laureate Amartya Sen's notion of basic participation in one's social world. The absolute capacity to take part in the life of the community. An economy of dignity, then, refers to the complex system of meanings by which people come to parlay and manage what counts as the life of their community. The collective measure of what counts for social citizenship, the right to be heard and seen, to be an active participant. Dignity, in this view, is supremely social, not simply in the way of being conferred by others like some sort of prize, but in its cultural essence, in the collective process of making a social world, in the shifting cultural contestation and consensus by which people achieve their own and others' participation. And then the question of dignity becomes anthropological in addition to theological. This participation in the life of the community for workers is what brings us to this conversation today. Faith and labor united for human dignity. The language of human dignity is, of course, nothing new to us as Unitarian Universalists. Our love of the UU first principle, the inherent worth and dignity of every person, suggests that human dignity matters to us. And so the question now is, what does our commitment to human dignity call us or invite us to, especially as it relates to the activity many of us spend much of our waking hours doing, our work? Or put another way, what are the practical applications of a theology of work, if you will, for folks living out UU values, particularly those of justice, equity, and interdependence? I'll suggest a few, but I suspect you can think of others as well. Democratic participation in the processes by which our life and work is governed. Talk to people, register to vote, vote. Put people in seats of government who care about the lives of workers, who care about people's ability to organize and advocate for themselves, who care about work being meaningful in the world that we live in. Respect for dignity of work and workers, whether or not we understand or feel personally connected to the work that is being done. There is no work that is not worthy of dignity when someone is doing that work to be a member of this society, to put food on the table for their family, to take care of the people around them. All work is honorable. And sometimes we don't care for the places that people are working for, the people that they're working for, and we might treat them badly because of it. I want to suggest that we honor all workers in all places and uphold their human dignity. And figure out when that becomes a tension and a challenge for us, how do I live into my values in this challenging situation? Because those are the times that form us. A willingness to pay a fair price for goods and services so that those who labor in the process might be well paid. I will pay $15 for a Big Mac if it means that the person who made it and served it can know they can go home and feed their family too. Unfortunately, there are other parts of that equation where the money gets lost in the process. But we as consumers have a tendency to look for what is cheap, to look for what is a good deal for us. And I wonder if we can engage in our consumer activity with an eye toward the dignity of the person that we're interacting with. Support for collective bargaining and an awareness and appreciation for the ways that we have all benefited from such bargaining, whether or not we were members of a bargaining unit. Child labor laws, 8-hour days if we want them, 40-hour weeks, holidays, all of the things that weren't a part of the labor situation at the turn of the 20th century, certainly. Fights that have been hard fought and won and sometimes rolled back that mean that we have a work life that can be manageable. We have to support that going forward because that bargaining, that advocacy still matters in the dignity of work for all people. And finally, I would suggest a commitment to solidarity and mutual aid, to standing with those who have to fight for the rights and the dignity that they need in a particular moment, even if we aren't directly in that fight, to stand in solidarity and to offer mutual aid, to help people without needing to know how they got into that situation, whether they're worthy of our help, exactly where our dollars are going to be spent. How can we help people when people need help? These are just some of the ideas of how we can support workers in the world around us, and I'm sure you can think of many more. But I'll close with a quote from the letter to faith leaders from the AFL-CIO invitation to participate in labor in the pulpits in 2024. They say this: the Labor Day holiday is not just a time to celebrate working people and their contributions to our society. It is also a time to remember the struggle working people endured to achieve the many benefits we now enjoy, as I said, such as the 8-hour day and the right to organize unions. This day provides a unique opportunity for the faith community and the labor movement to rediscover our common bonds: social justice, democracy, equality, the dignity of all people, racial and economic justice, fair treatment in the workplace, and the right to form unions. It is also a time to reflect on the current condition of working people and to reaffirm the commitment of the faith community to worker justice. So my invitation to all of us today is that we spend some of this Labor Day weekend reflecting on the current conditions of working people. Perhaps we spend some time blessing. We just sang about blessings this morning, blessing people who are working in spaces that might be hard or where they're not well appreciated. And whatever our religious beliefs or spiritual practices, that we recognize that we can't be faithful to them and be unfaithful to the quest of our fellow human to live and work with the dignity that is already and innately theirs. May it be so. Blessed be, and amen. The interlude is Prelude in C by J.S. Bach, performed by Eva. Thank you, Eva, that was beautiful.
Our closing words are by Adam Slate. Be kind, be brave, be just, be merciful, be hopeful. This is how we keep the chalice flame burning until we are together again to light it anew. Our final hymn is a familiar hymn. It's, the melody is known as doxology. But the words today are by Kenneth L. Patton, which will be up on the screens. Eva will play the tune once through before we sing. You are welcome to stand if you like. We will now extinguish our communal and personal chalices, and we will close with our unison sending words. Our service here is in service to the world begins anew.